everyone, and welcome to First Coast Living. I'm Casey DeSantis.
Hey folks, I'm Curtis Dvorak. Thanks for joining us. Glad to be back. We've got a lot of information for you today, but first, here's an update from our First Coast News team.
Well, good afternoon, guys. We have been in contact with districts across our area, and here's what we know right now. In Georgia, Brantley, Charlton, and Pierce County schools are closed through today. Now, Camden County schools, they are closed through Thursday, and Glenn County is closed the rest of the week. In Florida, Bradford, Clay, Duval, Nassau, St. John's, and Union are closed through today. Baker and Columbia are closed through Thursday, and Putnam is closed through Friday. UNF will reopen on Thursday, and FSCJ will reopen Monday. We're told the districts are still surveying possible damage to the schools. Also at this hour, thousands are still without power. More than 120,000 customers with JEA alone still in the dark. We spoke with Jerry Boyce with JEA yesterday. She said it's going to take a while for some areas to be able to get their power back. There are some trees down on power lines, and the trees have to be removed before they can work on those lines. In Clay County, more than 59,000 people are without power, and Florida Power and Light still has more than 86,000 customers that are out. Crews are working around the clock trying to make progress with these numbers, but again, you just need to be patient there with the linemen. Well, water is still rising in some parts of the First Coast. The Santa Fe River at Fort White will hit record numbers on Friday. If you live around that area, the water is expected to be back to normal by next week. Governor Rick Scott toured the flooded Black Creek in Middleburg today. The North Fork of the creek is at 21.3 feet and falling, and it should be back to normal on Friday. And the St. Mary's in McClinney is also falling. It's at 21.8 feet. It should be back to normal tomorrow. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you, Katie. Appreciate it. Okay, so there's a lot going on here locally that we wanted to touch base with. First Coast News, by the way, is teaming up with News4JAX, and they're doing their best to try to keep First Coast strong. And they say the strength is in numbers. Individually, the TV stations are good, but they say combining the forces makes the efforts really magnified that much more across our First Coast communities.
That's right. So First Coast Strong is what everyone is using, and we're all one community, and in moments of need, we lay our competition aside and work together for our friends and families and neighbors and everyone across the area, our local businesses. Together, we can all make a difference, standing united to make First Coast strong. The hashtag First Coast Strong, use it in your post-hurricane pics and things you're sending out. We're going to be good here.
Yeah, and so also just to keep in mind that with the First Coast Strong, some of the initiatives that we here at First Coast News are doing, one of the things is a charging station. So yesterday there was a really neat initiative, I think it was in San Marco, where people came out, they were able to charge up their cell phones. They're going to do that again today from 3 until 8 p.m. Over at St. Paul's Missionary Baptist Church. So if you don't have power and you'd really like to charge your mobile phone or any other device that you have, you can head over there. The address is 3738 Winton Drive. And so again, that is all part of First Coast Strong. Charge up St. Paul's Missionary Baptist Church, 3 to 8 p.m. today if you want to get a charge. Very helpful, because you don't realize how much you use those cell phones. You don't have it anymore.
Right. Yeah, I lost mine during Matthew, but that was water damage and stuff. But yeah, when you don't have it, it's like, well, now I'm totally disconnected. But no, other hurricane news. Yesterday there was a press conference. Jaguars announced that this Sunday's game against the Titans will go on as scheduled at the stadium. First responders and people affected by Irma can get free tickets. They gave out 5,000 tickets because it's First Responders Day at Jaguars game day. You can get tickets at jaguars.com/Jax as one. Jaguars also announced they're donating $1 million to the hurricane relief efforts, so pretty cool. And, and by the way, I misspoke, correction. The undefeated first place AFC South Division Jacksonville Jaguars.
It's true.
Will be having their game on Sunday across the street.
We won one. Well, I don't know if people missed it because there was a lot going on, obviously. But
I mean, if they missed it, all they had to do was listen to me. How many weeks ago? I said several times, we will win in Houston. We will beat the Texans week 1, and we did.
And we did, handily, right? What was the score?
29-7.
Not that we're counting or anything.
Not that I remember.
Not at all.
But it was awesome.
Hey, speaking of raising funds, we were talking a second ago, what we're doing First Coast Strong. All across the country, people are standing strong. And last night in Hollywood, some of the biggest stars came together to help with the victims of the hurricanes, both Harvey and Irma.
Hand in hand. The hand-in-hand benefit for hurricane relief. Glad it was hurricane relief in general all across the country. Aired on various networks, including right here on NBC. The telethon was shot live in 3 locations, Los Angeles, New York, and Nashville. Among the stars who made appearances included George Clooney, Oprah, Julia Roberts, and Stevie Wonder. We're told the star-studded telethon raised more than $44 million for hurricane relief. Proceeds from the telethon are going to benefit several charities, including Habitat for Humanity, Save the Children, United Way, and the ASPCA.
And they were on the phone bank too, when you had like Julia Roberts on the phone bank answering phone calls, which was really.
I mean, we had a phone bank here too. We had Jared. We had Jared on the phone bank.
I'll tell you what.
He was there.
Jared is a wealth of knowledge on that phone bank. I think he spent 20, 30 minutes with one person at least, talking him through like a bathroom remodel or something along those lines. I mean, you were really like, if there was a question that could not be answered, it was, where's Jared? And Jared, I mean, you know, he's a man of many talents, and they were all on display on that phone bank.
But it was cool. He said a lot of people called in the phone bank with a bunch of questions, so glad we could be there. And
yeah, I actually enjoyed. I brought my daughter here. Before, not in the height of the craziness. I didn't want to bring her here for that, but you know, the daycares and places were closed. So,
our office became a daycare. It was awesome.
There was toys everywhere. I mean, it was just we transformed the whole place, but. I didn't want to have her on the phone bank because the buttons and, the microphones and people, it's serious, and she was grabbing and playing with it. So I was kind of off camera doing Google, and there were some really interesting questions. And I was reading a lot of articles about, policies and laws and this, that, and the other. And so it was really, an education in addition to helping a lot of people who had a lot of really good questions in the height of the storm.
Yeah, I think a lot of people, again, Matthew taught us a lot, and I think Irma taught us even more. I think a lot of people learned a bunch in this. A lot of people knew the area. Some people, like I said, never seen this kind of flooding, but just seeing, how things work in that situation. Like you're going to hear from Clay County Humane. Coming up a little bit later in the show.
Yeah, talk about what happened with Clay County very quickly, because they are going to be joining us in a bit.
They're coming up in the show. We'll talk about it. But yeah, they put the animals to bed and came back the next morning, Monday morning, and suddenly there was water creeping up, and they had to evacuate 101 animals.
Wow.
But yeah, we'll tell you more about that. It was really cool how the community and their staff just instantly stepped up and said, here we go.
And how you can help at home, too, with all the animals and
First Coast Strong.
So, First Coast Strong. There you go. Use the hashtag. People all across the state of Florida, of course, are getting in on the cleanup, and that includes just about every single person. We found this video on YouTube, and it is awesome. Watch.
This is good.
That is Sister Margaret Ann of Archbishop Coleman Carroll High School down in Miami-Dade. So she wasn't waiting around for anyone to help clean up the mess in front of the school. So she grabbed a chainsaw and got to work. And so I guess the police station down there, the police in Miami-Dade, they saw that. They're like, oh, heck yeah, we're gonna roll on that. We're putting that on social media.
I think I only did 1 year in Catholic school, and thankfully the nuns only had rulers and not chainsaws. I probably would have listened more. A ruler, I was like, whoa, what are you gonna do, slap my hand? But if Sister Mary Margaret pulls out the chainsaw, I was like, what?
Dvorak, sit down.
Yes, okay.
Yes, do anything you want.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
I mean, you know what? You got to hand it to her. So, like all people from all walks of life are coming out, and they're trying to get things back to normal, because that's what we do in Florida when these kind of things come through.
And everybody's looking for a bit of normalcy. Yeah, they're looking to get things back to normal, and little things catch you. Jasmine and I, as we were finishing up, cleaning up after the hurricane party. But it was like a never-ending 36-hour Super Bowl party. All the food out on the counter, but getting the kitchen just back to normal and getting the house back to normal and not have all the charging plugs and everything like in one place mentally made you kind of go, okay, all right. And then images like, the Jack Sheriff's Office rainbow.
Have you seen this picture? This is making the rounds on social media. This was actually before the storm came, and so this is something that they captured and they put out over in your neck of the woods in Jacksonville Beach.
Yeah, right there on the beach. We had one right after the storm as well. I didn't capture it nearly as well as that. That's like a double, possibly a triple rainbow. Whoa.
So that was a reference to something on YouTube.
But yeah,
like making the rounds.
It's just little things like that that made people, kind of snap out of the hysteria and go, okay, we're going to be all right. Sadly, we have lost, I think, total in Irma, 50-some lives.
Yeah.
And it's tragic and it's terrible.
Well, you look at what's happening in the Keys, for sure.
But man, we lucked out as far as like the amount of...
Yeah, and there's, I was reading some stories about different establishments downtown, like the Calford Chop House.
Yeah.
I mean, they got some flood waters in there. I think they had like a foot, and right to the next, right to the right of them.
I thought Calford was okay. We had Jeannie went by and I guess Jared said that they panned in and showed the inside, and the owner actually called and was like, thank you so much for showing that. I've been calling everybody trying to get footage. He was actually happy that it wasn't
Okay.
Completely ruined.
Well, if you go to the Record, they did this whole article about the floodwaters coming in about a foot, and they don't know about the damage that it's going to leave behind. So maybe it went in, maybe they came out after. Hopefully it's not that big of a, because I mean, if you drive by there all the time, you can see there are people working there nonstop to get that place up and running.
So long to
it's
get that
right there on the corner, and it was right there. You know, when you saw right over the Main Street Bridge, the Calford Chop House is like, so that was where a lot of the flooding was. And then to the right of them, I know they got, I think, some waters up to the front, Bold City, but they said they were going to open on Tuesday night.
Yeah, luckily it just seemed like a little bit of water backing up in the drains, but yeah, they've taken 2 years to get that thing built.
Has it been 2 years?
Let's hope it doesn't
hopefully
get set back further.
You know who else was out and about during the storm coverage? Tim Tebow. Of course he was. He called up the governor and he said, "Hey, what can I do?" He's such a great guy.
Floodwaters don't bother him.
So he called up the governor. I guess they're friends, and he said, "Hey, is there anything that I can do to help?" And I think the governor was like, "Yeah, come on down." So he not only was in Tallahassee with first responders, he came to some of the shelters here in Jacksonville. I think was here on Monday night, and just was giving people some encouragement. I think they were talking a little FSU football, a little a little rub here and there. But it's just what a great guy. He's like, "What can I do to? Is there anything I can do to come up? Yeah, come on up." You know?
Just showing up and being there for people, especially the ones in the shelters. I think yesterday I read there was still 1,000 people in shelters. Hopefully that number keeps dropping. It was like 2,000 at the most. I think 2,200 were in shelters at one point, but it was coming down, which is good. But people in a shelter, if you've been in there for 2-3 days, to see somebody come through like Tim Tebow and I definitely can lift
Yeah, because you talk about going back to normalcy, right? And then being in a shelter, that is not the most comfortable of places to be. You want your own bed, you want your own house, you want to go back and pray that everything is okay. So hopefully they'll get out of there soon enough and can get back to normalcy. Speaking of which, a big normalcy back here for the people in our area where we work in this part of the station was when the town center opened, specifically Maggiano's. There was like a mad rush out the door. What? And so people had, like, what they hadn't had in the past 4 or 5 days was a hot meal.
It was funny seeing everybody, and First Coast News, we put out there, open now, FCN, as the hashtag, and people just saying, "Hey, this place was open." So Jasmine and I are sitting there and we're like, "Should we go? Let's go to," we were picking a place to go eat, and then we texted somebody and they go, "The lines are ridiculous." Because as soon as somebody would text that something was open, everybody would show up at it.
Yeah, I think we went to a Waffle House, and I think the options was 4 things. You could do ham, grilled cheese, the potatoes, and what was the ham, grilled cheese, potatoes, and there was one other. No, they didn't have that.
No smothered and covered.
What was the other thing they had? Maybe it was toast, but that was it. Like those were your options. But we have a ham sandwich, a ham and cheese sandwich. No, you can either have ham or the grilled cheese. All right.
Anyway. Well, choices. We're First Coast strong. I got the calluses to prove it.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, if you had a chance to run by First Coast News, you might have seen that they had boarded up and they put sandbags down, which thankfully, if you saw the social media, was a really good thing because the back and the front flooded, so it was very smart. But this guy comes yesterday with a drill, and so
I had to borrow it from our engineers.
We borrowed it because he wanted sunlight in here. Because if you're in the building at all, with the windows boarded up, you could not tell whether it was night or day. And so, for everyone's mental health, he decided to go out and take all of the boards off the windows.
Plus, the crew, they had been working really hard. Our whole team had been here for 3 days. Boarded in, and I just was like, man, the psychology of a storm, they talk about getting back to normal, just being able to see daylight. It just messes with your head if you can't see it. And also after 3 to 4 days of our entire staff working around the clock in here, some doors and windows.
Breath of fresh air.
Some doors and windows needed to be opened.
Yeah. There was, ironically, the place where they stored all the garbage was right outside of where our offices are. So it was.
Props to everybody. Everybody on our team who came in here. I was stuck at the beach with our crew out there, but yeah, when I came in and saw that everybody had been boarded up in here and they needed to see some daylight.
Yeah, I asked if you were sore. Because, I mean, seriously,
tomorrow will be worse.
Yeah,
second day is going to be worse. Right. The hands cramp and stuff. So, but no, happy to do it, and props to our entire team.
I mean, I'll tell you what, they worked
keep you guys informed.
Tails off. There is no doubt about it. Okay.